Jaguars OTAs are just about wrapped up, so let's go ahead and talk about everything that went on. Now, OTAs are not complete yet. Like I said, it will be concluded tomorrow. So ideally, I probably should have waited till tomorrow to make this video. But at the end of the day, how much more is going to be figured out between today and tomorrow? And I just wanted to kind of pump out this video for you guys. So OTAs are 90% of the way complete. And next week actually starts the mandatory mini camp. It's a 3-day mini camp. And then after that, the players are excused for about a month up until really training camp starts in like mid to late July. I know rookies report first, and then the veterans start coming in, and then they start to ease on pads along the way. And then, we're less than 2 months away from the preseason. Isn't that crazy? So football season really is right around the corner. And, in that month break, there's not going to be a lot of Jags news. So before I get into this video, if there's any kind of videos you guys may want me to make over the course of the next month, definitely let me know. I'm going to continue pumping out content as I always do. But, now is maybe the time where I can get into some more interesting subjects. So definitely let me know. Now, the first thing, like when I made my OTA preview, really the first thing I wanted to see was injuries. And I don't mean injuries from the bad perspective. I meant injuries where players from the 2021 season that were hurt, how are they rehabbing and how are they coming along? And mostly from the perspective of Travis Etienne, Jamal Agnew, and James Robinson. Now, really, the two best players offensively for the Jaguars last year, from a skill player standpoint, was James Robinson and Jamal Agnew. And it really wasn't even close. And you can make the argument that if Etienne stayed healthy all throughout the year, that might have been the three most productive players on offense, or three most explosive, whatever you want to say. But unfortunately, all those guys are hurt and they are rehabbing. However, I was really wanting to know, okay, when they come back, what kind of capacity will they be in? Will they be limited at all? And the news that was just music to my ears was the fact that, boom, Travis Etienne fully cleared. So if there was a game tomorrow, Travis Etienne could go out there, take on some full contact. He is cleared. He's doing all the drills. He's not limited at all. That is absolute money, and that's awesome to hear. I'm going to get into Travis Etienne a little bit later in the video. Also, James Robinson, after tearing his Achilles the last month of the season, he is actually running full speed on a straight line status. I don't think he's doing any agility work, but we did see on his Instagram story a video of him running, so that's also great to see. And Jamal Agnew, who suffered a hip injury, I was wondering about him because, it's a bad injury. I mean, we remember Lambeau had that injury, and, he never really fully recovered from it. But Jamal Agnew, he's out here running the different drills. He's doing a bunch of different stuff, and he is limited. He's got the Seinfeld bro or Manziron, where he's out there just kind of he's not fully cleared, but he's actually cutting. He's moving along pretty well. He looks pretty good out there. So all that, man, that was, you can't tell a lot from OTAs, but seeing that was awesome because it looks like by the time training camp comes here, definitely Jamal Agnew and Etienne are going to be 100% most likely, but also it looks like James Robinson, might even be available at the start of the season. So all that stuff is very, very exciting to see. Now, a couple of injuries did happen. CJ Beathard went down, and it looked kind of scary. We didn't see it, obviously, but we heard that non-contact, the medical golf cart had to come out and take him off the field. We all kind of expected the worst because anytime you see a cart, it's usually never good news. But in this case, CJ Beathard, it looked like it was a groin injury, and it's not expected to be serious or require surgery, so that's very good to hear. Of course, the best case scenario is that CJ Beathard never sees the field for the Jaguars, only maybe in cleanup duty. And even so, even if he never sees the field in 2022, he's a very important piece because backup quarterbacks are extremely important, not only from just being able to be in the kind of the quarterback's right-hand man, be really the quarterback's best friend and almost like a mentor, but he also helps in practice when it comes to, not being a drill killer. We called them drill killers when I played lacrosse because they're essentially players that, they're killing drills. Whenever you pass it to them, they're dropping or they can't deliver a pass right. If CJ Beathard, he's able to go into practice, throw some nice balls, kind of like a Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert, when the game is going on, he's scared, frightened, deer in the headlights, but he makes his NFL career from being a great backup quarterback because, when you got that non-contact jersey on him, he's pretty freaking good at delivering a ball. He throws, big prototypical, he throws a nice ball, and that's why he's been able to have a career of being a backup quarterback. Similar thing with CJ Beathard, where he's not like a Gardner Minshew, where he really is dying to be a starting quarterback, where he wants to be in there. He knows his role with the Jaguars, and he does it pretty well, it seems like. So very important piece to the Jaguars, and it's good to hear that he is healthy. And one guy I didn't hear anything about was Jordan Smith. Jordan Smith was a 4th-round defensive end / outside linebacker, whatever position you want to call that, edge. I don't even know anymore, but he was hurt in the last practice also, or actually he was hurt on, Monday? And we haven't heard anything from that. It's 2 days later, and one of his big things at UAB was that, he got hurt a lot, and now with the Jaguars, it looks like he might be hurt. Hopefully it's nothing serious. I mean, I know when we think of guys that are going to be making big impact for the Jaguars, he is not a guy that really comes to mind, and he'd almost be like an added bonus. But, hopefully the Jaguars are in situations where they're playing with leads a lot, and that's where Jordan Smith would be very important because he'd be a great situational pass rusher, 3rd and long guy. You can, bring him in there and maybe have a little bit more juice than one of your other guys. And it's just good to get that rotation along the defensive line. So, and also another good thing about him was that he really beefed up. He was really undersized last year, and it looks like he added a lot of muscle. I don't know what the official weigh-in numbers are, but that's just what I hear. Now, going back to Travis Etienne apparently has been really the superstar of the camp. He looks fast. He's been playing, one thing that before Urban Meyer completely tanked his coaching job, he might have gotten one thing right, and that's really allowing Travis Etienne to get some wide receiver reps. A lot of the videos that we're seeing come out from training camp is that, not training camp, but OTA practices, we're seeing him running routes, even catching some punts, and it's looked awesome. And I'm really excited to see Etienne. He was a 1st-round pick for God's sake. I mean, we want to see a guy like that, and it's good to see that he is moving around good, and they're giving him a lot of different work at a lot of different places, and he is the ultimate X factor for the Jaguars. A lot of people talk about the Deebo Samuel role. I don't know if that's the best role for him. Maybe more of an Alvin Kamara role, where he's primarily in the backfield, but he can split out, take some wide receiver reps and make some things happen with the ball. When it comes to the split up between running backs, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to give your best players the ball the most often. So they're going to find ways to get James Robinson and Travis Etienne the ball. It's just, we're excited to kind of see exactly how. Another thing I really want to see out of the OTA practices is what the offensive line looks like. Now, left tackle Cam Robinson and right guard Brandon Sheriff, those positions are locked. Those guys will be starting week 1 pending, injury. But outside of that, what are the Jaguars going to do at left guard, center, and right tackle? Now, it looks like Ben Bartz has been getting pretty much all the snaps at left guard. It looks like right now there's not really even a lot of competition for him. The only way competition may come is if the right tackle position is decided early between Walker Little and Jawan Taylor, and they decide, okay, whoever loses this competition is going to move out to left guard and compete there. Right now, it looks like Walker Little and Jawan Taylor are splitting reps out there, kind of 50-50, and that's bad sign for Jawan Taylor. Look, he's going into his 4th year. He was a starter there the last 3 years, and now he's getting his reps cut in half. I mean, I think it's, Walker Little, they got to get the best 5 on the field, and I think Walker Little will be that. So that's really just one thing to look out for. And also center, the Jaguars, of course, have T-Shat 69, Tyler Shatley in there that's played a lot of center, but they drafted Luke Fortner in the 3rd round. Now, it doesn't look like he may be a plug and play. I mean, week 1, there's a very good chance that Tyler Shatley will start, but I think there's a very short leash for him. I think pending maybe a couple bad games and especially injury, I think once Luke Fortner gets into that starting lineup, that will ultimately be his job. But it just might not come very early right now. So as it stands right now, it looks like to me nothing changed. It looks like right tackle is going to be Walker Little for me, and everything else, Ben Barch at left guard, and probably Tyler Shatley to start off the season. So that's what the offensive line looks like. Another thing I wanted to see was just what linebacker and defensive back will look like, especially on like base and nickel downs, but I haven't really been hearing much coverage of that. Of course, I'm not at the Jaguars practices, so that's not something that I can look at and monitor. And I haven't really been seeing it get covered by our media. But I think that's going to be more of an emphasis when the preseason comes out, where we can kind of check that out. And by what that's going to look like, I mean, in base personnel, there's going to be 3 linebackers. That'll be Aluakin, Lloyd, and Muma. But once they go to 2 linebacker sets, who is going to hop off the field? Will it be? It's probably going to be Muma, in my opinion. And also at defensive back, when you're in a base, when you're nickel, you're going to have 3 cornerbacks out there. But when you move out to a base package where you only have 2 cornerbacks, is Shaquille Griffin going to leave the field? Is it going to be Darius Williams, who you just threw a bunch of money at? I believe Tyson Campbell will definitely stay on the field, but that's something once we get into preseason, I think that will be answered then. Now, I guess we can't go a video without really speaking about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is the leader of this team, and from what he says the coaching staff is just awesome. Now, you could have debated when you go from Jack Del Rio to like Gus Bradley, is the coaching going to be better? When you go for, actually no, it went from Del Rio to Mularkey to Gus Bradley. When you go from just Gus Bradley to Doug Marrone, how much better do you get? When you go from Doug Marrone to Urban Meyer, do you really get better? But there is no debate right now. When you go from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson, you're getting a lot better, just a lot better. And so he says that the coaching staff has been awesome. Communication is great in the building between Trevor Lawrence and the coaches, just, from them telling him how to do things and from him communicating to the coaches what he likes, what he's seeing. And, of course, the coaching staff is loaded up with quarterbacks. So it's good that these guys can see things from Trevor Lawrence's eyes. And also, he's got some good connections with his new teammates. Evan Ingram looks to really be filling in nicely, and also Christian Kirk. There's a lot of talk on Twitter. One of the more popular Jaguar guys on Twitter, kind of was talking down on Christian Kirk a little bit. But from what I've heard, especially from Jordan DeLugo, he says that that's not the case. Christian Kirk is looking really good out there, and that's good to hear because obviously the Jaguars threw a lot of money at him. But we won't really see it all. Once the season starts, we'll really see it come into action because right now everything is of course positive. And why not be positive? There's no need to stress out in the months of May and June about these Jaguars because we all know that they give us plenty of stress, and at the end of the day, they should not give us as much stress as they do. But we're emotionally invested in this team, so that's just how it is. So these OTAs, it's really just good for the Jaguars. I mean, next week, mandatory minicamp is here, and if you miss mandatory minicamp, you will get fined and whatnot. But Jaguars, pretty much everybody has been at the OTA practices. There's been some excused absences here and there, but for the most part, everybody is there, which isn't surprising because, look, the Jaguars, a lot of new additions, really young team, brand new coaching staff. A lot of stuff is going on where the Jaguars need to rush to maturity. And what I mean by that is, the quicker they can become one unit, the quicker they can play as a team, the better it's going to be because we don't really want, week 1, 2, 3, 4, like those weeks we don't want to struggle. We don't look like we want to look like a brand new team together. We want to be a solid unit by week 1 so we can move forward. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer than that. But Jaguars in a mode of rushing to maturity. They need to know each other. Trevor Lawrence, when he looks out there, he has new wide receivers. He has new offensive linemen. He has new, tight ends. He has new offensive coordinator, head coach, quarterbacks coach. I mean, and on the defensive side too. Look at all the new additions on the defense. These guys have to get to know each other. They have to gel. This isn't a team that's at like a 15 to 20% turnover. It's like this team got hauled. I mean, it was an overhaul. So these OTA practices are important. The more time these guys get together is important. I look forward to seeing really Trevor Lawrence get together with, his wide receivers this offseason and just kind of see them putting in work. And I hope the defense kind of does something similar. And, hopefully this group has good synergy. That's what we all want. So, like I said, mini camp is mandatory, but nobody's holding out. We're just not. I mean, we're not the Super Bowl winning Rams where we're a team that might have a lot of holdouts. It just hasn't been that. So it's exciting. Really, can't wait for the season. Can't wait for the preseason. Like I said, we're less than 2 months away from like the first preseason game, which is just absolutely wild. And then, hopefully, I believe, hopefully we just get some better Jaguar football because that's all we really want. And, we'll experience it all together. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like for me. Really helps me out, helps the channel out, and, it helps deliver more Jaguars videos on this channel. And thank you for watching. Go Jags. You guys watched the whole video. Really appreciate that. You guys can subscribe to the channel for the best source of Jaguars news on the YouTube platform. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. And you can become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month for exclusive channel content. Thank you guys, and go Jags.